just a heads up, I'm gonna turn the lights off. It's a little bit of an intro. Just prepare for that. I'll try to talk to you and thank you guys. Am I getting burnt? I get this stuff.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay, you can step on. In the last 30 seconds, each of you felt something that was entirely unique to you. It may have provoked a certain emotion, or maybe it made you think, damn, this is a kind of cool intro. I wish I had it. For me, this was the song that was played on repeat at my high school best friend's funeral. His name was Ian Carl. Every time I hear the song, my mind is immediately flooded with fond memories of late night drives in his Jeep or sitting around on a fire in his backyard. See, our minds can make this association due to how influential the arts are. And it goes beyond just connecting the memories. The arts are so powerful, they can inspire other people, bring online people together, or inspire new creations. This is why I believe arts should be protected and supported at all costs. As I mentioned before, my life revolves around the arts. Through all of the ensembles I've been a part of, the most rewarding feeling isn't the rush of performing, but rather it's hearing how what I've created affects and inspires the people around me. If it weren't for these experiences and meeting people like Ian, I would not be standing in front of you today. And none of these experiences would have been possible without the financial support of my community, school, or my family. This is why I believe, starting in August of 2022, the U.S. Department of Education should make a creative budget for schools of $2,000 per student to be used specifically on arts programs. Today, I'm going to discuss the problem with funding the arts and why we need to review the current arts budget. It has been proven time and time again that a robust arts curriculum can greatly benefit students' education, yet the existence of many programs are still threatened due to a lack of money and support. As I mentioned in my other speech, a large part of this is due to the emergence of standardized testing from the Child Left Behind Act of 2001. It forced many schools to move funding away from the arts and focus on the core subjects, English and math, to be in compliance set aside with those standards. The following graphs were produced by the National Endowments for the Arts in the 2008 article, Arts Participation in America. The graph on the left shows the general decline in participation in the arts across all the various arts. And the graph on the right shows how budget cuts in the 2008 recession hit low-performing, low-income students the hardest. It forced administrators to cut art programs so they could avoid being placed into a program improvement status as a penalty given to schools who aren't reaching the benchmarks. Ironically, these are the types of schools and students that stand to benefit from the arts programs the most. So, let's get this straight. You have a low-performing school, and so the government will punish these students by taking away the programs that serve to benefit the most. You see, we have a big problem on our hands. Because of this, rather than treating this as an issue of funding the arts, we have to approach this as an issue for funding supplemental education. This is why I propose that a yearly creative budget needs to be formed on a per-student basis that emphasizes the needs and the demands of the district. So what exactly does this look like? For each student involved in any school-sponsored art, band, choir, theater, or any physical arts, they shall be granted $2,000 to be used only on those programs. Now, this isn't limited to just high school, but this applies to all K-12 students, exceeding the minimum arts requirements. And the distribution of these funds will be left up to the discretion of the respective districts. This allows for maximum flexibility while guaranteeing money for each program. Additionally, these funds would come directly from the U.S. Department of Education. This ensures that each district receives adequate funding. The main intent of this is that it will bridge the gap between the low and high income schools. In the last 3 years, a very similar per-student-based budget was tested to see the effects of increased student exposure to the arts and increased funding. So in Houston, Texas, 42 schools were nominated and selected to be a part of this program. 21 of them were given fair treatment and 21 were considered a control. So on top of the current budget, each treatment school was granted an additional $15 per student. This was funded in part by the NEA and the Houston Arts Initiative. Each student was given a choice to participate in one of 10 art disciplines. After the conclusion of the study, on February 12, 2019, the Houston Arts Access Initiative reported in their article investigating effects of arts education and experiences. Relative to those in the control group, students experienced a 3.6% decrease in disciplinary infractions and a 13% increase in standard writing scores. This worked on a small scale, and it will definitely work on a large scale as well. Despite the obvious need of additional support and countless benefits of art programs, there is still a movement to completely abolish the federal funding. William Craig, who is an ex-director of the Division of Education Program for the NEH, a sister program to the NEA, wrote in the 2004 edition of Policy Review that the NEA is a waste of government funding, and to remove their funding, the arts would thrive. One of the main supports in this article was that funding lost from the government would be made up in the private sector, but I would argue that this would only widen the gap, as the well-established schools already receive the largest portion of funds from the private sector. To rely on private funds alone would be the end of arts education in low-income schools. So in terms of the solution for these smaller programs, Craig offers a little advice, saying that smaller programs should be able to survive with the local support, and if they heed certain examples from across the country. Well, this would be a valid point, except there aren't really any valid examples. All of these small schools and programs that he referenced relied heavily on funding from state governments. So the whole point of reviewing the creative budget is to bridge the gap between smaller and larger programs. And those smaller programs need all the support they can get. They're the ones who serve to benefit the most from the arts. This is why I believe that starting in August of 2022, the U.S. Department of Education should make a creative budget for schools of $2,000 per student per district, specifically for the use on those arts programs each year. The main issue with funding the arts is the endless cycle standardized testing has gotten us into. My solution is to abolish the current funding system and establish equal access and adequate funding for students across the nation. There is an array of evidence supporting the success of this new program, despite the fact that some people believe our country would be better without the programs protecting the arts. So, what can you do as a 4-Iowa State student? Go attend a concert on campus. Go see a design exhibition. Go check me out playing pep band for the basketball games. The least you can do is support the works and the creations of the people around you.